Welcome back to the Breakfast Club, everybody. This is week 5 of our online edition. Pretty amazing. I can't believe it's been 5 weeks already. So today we have raised over $400 for Horizons for Youth, which is an emergency shelter dedicated to supporting at-risk youth, homeless youth, and helping them to leave the streets behind. Which is awesome. So thank you everybody for your generosity and your contributions. I want to make note that we've also raised over $4,000 for local charities just by coming together for a weekly coffee date. And it's pretty amazing. Yeah. I'm so proud and so honored to be doing this with all of you. So thank you. So for those of you who are new to the Breakfast Club, we come together online once a week with a hot cup of something, and we have an inspiring story shared with an inspiring speaker, and then we have a Q&A, which we facilitate through the chat box. So as we're going along, if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to share, you pop it into the chat box, and then after we're done our chat, which is about halfway through, we'll switch over to Q&A, and we'll call you up so that you can ask your question directly. So we can have a conversation, so we can be in this together. So that's how the Breakfast Club works normally, but today is not your average Breakfast Club. Today is a very special Breakfast Club, and my dear friend, Paula Perry, and business partner, is going to kick us off with a song. So Paula.
Oh God.
Take it away.
Now it's real. Now it's actually happening. Good morning. Thanks for having me. This is so lovely. I feel very nervous, but it's going to be great. This is a song by a Canadian singer-songwriter named Rose Cousins out of Halifax, and it's called The Agreement, and I just think it's so lovely. So we're just going to do that, okay? You come to town and I'll take you in. We'll spend the night in our beautiful spin. And I know I'm not just any, but I know that I'm one of many. I get lost in the stories you tell. I'm above your gaze, but I'm under your spell. And I know I'm not just any, but I know that I'm one of many. No, we don't need to give this a shot. The best we can have is what we've got. And commitment is too scary, but I'll cry if you get married. So I'll come to town and you'll take me in, and we'll spend the night in our beautiful spin. And you know you're not just any, but you know that you're one of many. And you know you're not just any, you know you're one of many.
Wow. Thank you. Oh, that was so beautiful. You can bring me to tears within one note. Thank you.
I'm so glad that.
Thank you. That was a perfect.
Over to you, Brit.
That's a really hard thing to follow up on.
That was a beautiful love song, and also a love song to our loved ones on the East Coast, right?
Oh, for sure. The East Coast means so much to me, and they've been going through such a hard time. And it's just so I've been listening to a lot of my Halifax, Newfoundland, East Coast bands lately to spread the love. And I just like that song a lot because it speaks about like a lot of love experiences that aren't really in songs, where it's like, you have a connection with somebody and maybe it's just timing is off or it's not, all the things, but like, that it's special. It's just also not the thing. And I love that she made that into a song because I've had a lot of special mom things. So it felt really
well.
It's
Haven't
really nice.
all.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it to you guys. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Thanks, Paula. Wow, that was amazing. So Brit, my dear Brit, Brit is a celebrated life and fitness coach and a wonderful human. She is for those of you who don't know, she is a statuesque, gorgeous raven-haired beauty who had an incredibly successful career in modeling. And then transitioned into fitness and wellness. I met Brit a few years ago when I was just getting over being very ill, and she was my trainer, and she brought me back to life. And she even helped me to get ready to run my first 10K. Now, I don't know if it was actually a run, but my best attempt at a 10K, and you got me there.
You got me there.
Thank you. So you've lived all over the world, and you are somebody who, you're constantly learning new skills, constantly working on your development. You're incredibly curious, passionate, and a brilliant listener. You're also a certified personal trainer, a yoga teacher, and health coach. You have certifications in fascial stretch therapy, Reiki, and then recently, this past year, you became strategic intervention life coach.
Yes.
Please join me in welcoming Brit to the Breakfast Club.
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, I'm so honored to be here. When you asked me to come on, I was just like, I would love to. Absolutely. So really excited.
Thank you. And so you're at home right now with your husband and your little girl.
Yes.
We might hear from her in the background.
Yes, you might.
She's got some pipes.
She does. Normally she's singing happy. So hopefully that's what you'll be hearing.
That's great. So Brit, I want to jump right into it. You had a great career as a fitness coach and fitness expert. You were doing retreats, creating fitness content programs, very successful. What drew you to life coaching?
So over my years in the health and fitness industry, a lot of my clients were thriving. They were doing amazing, but I felt like so many of them wanted more than just the physical transformation. So many of my clients would come to me and they would talk to me about relationships, or they were dealing with self-worth issues. They just weren't happy. And as much as a banging body feels great, it's not the end all and be all. Like, are we going to look back at our life when we're 90 and say, man, I had a hot body? Or are we going to think about the experiences and the connections and the relationships we built with people?
I'd argue both.
Yeah, you can be proud of both. But yeah, like I just wanted to help people on a deeper level that went beyond the physical. So I wanted to help people with their emotional, their mental, their spiritual. And that's what led me to discovering more about life coaching. And I contacted my own mentor and life coach, he wasn't my life coach at the time. He was actually my trainer years and years ago.
Oh, that's amazing. What a great connection.
Yeah. So he was a life coach, author, speaker, and he was just always somebody that I looked up to. And I was like, okay, if anybody can help me to become an even better coach, it's him. So I contacted him and I started studying with him. And then I was like, I need to take this to the next level. And I wanted to get certified from there. So, and that's what led me to where I am today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for me, it makes perfect sense because you are that person who really does connect with her clients and really did, you do try to help in a multitude of ways. So it made perfect sense for me, but thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
I have to ask, we're all trying to navigate our way through the new normal. How are you advising your clients to cope?
Yeah. So, I mean, of course we can turn to all the things that we know we do have control over, which is movement, nutrition, meditation, all these things. But one of the fundamental things that I teach to my clients is something called the 6 human needs. And the 6 human needs are the driving force behind why we make the decisions we make. And we all have 2 top needs that drive us more than anything. And these 6 human needs are certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, significance, growth, and contribution. And I think a lot of people, especially in these times that we're going through right now, they've lost jobs. They're worried about if they're going to have a job to go back to. They're worrying about if they're going to have a business to go back to. And I think 2 of these, the top needs that drive people in this right now, are significance and certainty. So certainty is the need to feel secure and comfort, and significance is the need to feel important, unique, and significant, of course. And I think because people aren't getting those needs for significance and certainty through their jobs right now, they have to look to other ways to satisfying those needs. So if you can't find certainty and you can't experience those needs through your job right now, what are other ways you can fulfill those needs? So what are some ways you can fulfill the need of certainty? What are some ways you can fulfill the need of significance? Sure. So I think people need to turn to that and say, well, I can feel significance through my family, right? I can feel significance by the love of my spouse or my children. I can feel significant by giving back in some way. Certainty, people can turn to the Breakfast Club. They're certain they can come here each week and tune into this amazing community. So I think we really need to just tune in and reevaluate what our needs are right now.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. And then, of course, the things that we can control, which is movement, nutrition, relationships. We have control over those, creating stronger bonds with those that we care most about, and really connecting through things like this, making a phone call, hopping on a video chat. We have the technology to do that.
Right. So deepening your connection with your support system, like whoever those are that are your loved ones, your peeps.
Absolutely.
No, that's great. So you're someone that always seems to be, so positive and you have it together. And again, like when you tell me these things, I'm like, yes, like this is Brit. She practices what she preaches. But like, how are you adjusting to it all? Is it easy for you or?
Honestly, I have my good days and my bad, even my good weeks and my bad weeks. And as much as, yes, I do practice what I preach. I mean, I think it was week 4. I was just like, oh man, I was so emotional. I was so irritable and it was hard, like I would have days where I would cry. I'd look at my daughter and I'd just cry, not tears of sadness, like just tears of happiness. I was just emotional through everything. I would listen to the news and I would hear something awful and I would cry, and I was just feeling so many emotions. And I think what we need to do in times like that is recognize and acknowledge those emotions that we're feeling and really respect and honor them. But one thing I was also doing was I continued to do the things that made me feel good, even when it was hard. So, some days I didn't feel like working out, but I did it because it made me feel better. I mean, scientifically proven, we're releasing feel-good hormones when we work out, right? Yeah. I would change my environment. So on days that I could go for a walk when it wasn't raining or too cold, I would go for a walk. I would take a moment to focus on my breathing. And that is something that has got me through some of the hardest times in my life, is just focusing on my breath and calming down and really breathing into my heart. Or something everyone I know can relate to this morning is just listening, to Paula play her song. Like how moved was everyone when that was happening, you know? You feel emotional. And I know you do too, Jess. Like I was bringing tears to my eyes, and we don't know I don't have a personal connection to Paula until today, right? I was moved by it. And I think everyone really needs to tune into things like that. Put on music that makes you feel good. So even though we are, you know, we might be going through some hard times, we're facing obstacles that we've never faced before, don't stop doing the things that make you feel good, even if it's hard. It's so important. But also respect and honor those emotions that you're feeling. Don't hold back, you know, from crying if you need to cry. But when you feel like it's consuming you, remember you can control so many things in your environment. You can control, you can make yourself feel better in those moments. So
remembering we have the tools and we have that power.
That's
and
great. Ask for help. If you feel like you can't pull yourself out, ask for help, because we're all going through these things right now. So if you just connect with someone and say, this is how I'm feeling, someone might be like, you know what, I was feeling that way last week, and I hear you, I see you, I feel you, and we're going to get through this together.
That's great. You mentioned, you identified 4 pillars for wellness: meditation, nourishment, movement, and nature.
Yes.
You feel like these are 4 simple things that we can connect with, even when we think we can't. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think people need to go easy on themselves. I don't think that we need to set ground rules. We don't have to say, I need to work out for an hour a day. I need to meditate for an hour a day. I need to make sure all my meals are healthy. Start with baby steps, you know? If you don't want to work out for an hour, try to get outside again. If you can, go for a walk. If you can't do that, do some things around the house, you know, walk up and down the stairs a few times. Try to move your body in some way, because you might not see physical changes in that moment, but you're doing good things internally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? So just a little bit of movement each and every day. Because I don't know about you guys, but if I'm just vegging out on the couch day after day after day after day, I'm not feeling too good. I mean, I have my days where I do that, of course, but I always try to get some sort of movement in, because it makes me feel good. And then when it comes to nutrition, I try to have at least one healthy meal a day. You know, you want to put some nourishing foods into your body, whether that's a smoothie, you know, or healthy pasta or a healthy salad. I mean, all salads are usually healthy. And then when it comes to nature, I have a strong connection to nature. I feel the same way, like when we listen to Paula sing. When I'm out in nature, I feel emotional too. I feel like, wow, like I'm so small compared to all of this, you know, these trees, the sky, in our case, the lake, not the ocean, but, you know, just to get outside in nature. And then on days where you can't, just open your window, get some fresh air. And I'll even put music on that has nature sounds. You know, like how good do the sound of waves make you feel? Or the trees moving, or just like animals making noises, right? Birds chirping. It just feels so good. And then again, coming back to your breath. So you don't have to sit again for an hour in a lotus position with your eyes closed. You could lie down, you know, you could be walking around your house and just think, close your eyes, breathe into your heart. Just take 10 deep breaths, you know, and this could be when you're not feeling stressed. This can be when you're feeling stressed. Just baby steps. You don't need to become some yogi mystic, you know, to feel better in that moment. And like I said, breathing has got me through some of the toughest challenges in my life, because for a moment you just forget everything else and you focus on your breath. And as you're focusing on your breath, it's hard to have a million thoughts going through your mind, because you're really focusing on taking a deep inhale into your heart, you know, feeling your belly rise and fall. So I think those are 4 really easy things that we can do. And as this becomes more become more of a habit for you, you can increase, your movement.
Sure.
You can increase your healthy meals. You can increase the time you breathe for, or the time that you're outside. So don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I wanted to say, I love the word nourishment. Nourishing is just so, that's such a holistic, big, powerful word. Because I also believe that sometimes a chocolate chip cookie or a glass of wine is also nourishing. It's nourishing for the soul.
Absolutely. Wine's made of grapes.
Yes, absolutely. That's right. You heard it here first.
And it makes you feel good, right?
Yeah.
It
and
is
nourishing. Yeah. And I like that, we can turn to any one of these 4 things at any time when things are getting heavy. So, I mean, some people are feeling incredibly weighed down for this at this time, crippled almost by the pandemic, and they don't want to get out of bed some days. And perhaps they're feeling guilty about it. It feels like there's this boiling point of a lot of emotions for people. What do you say to that person who's almost spinning?
Yeah. So for people who feel like they just can't get out of bed right now, they're feeling lack of motivation, lack of drive. My best piece of advice is to keep a set of headphones next to your bed. Okay. And when you wake up in the morning, listen to a playlist. If you're going to listen to music, let it be music without lyrics, or lyrics that are very positive and uplifting lyrics that are going to make you feel something, right? And put your headphones in the morning, which does not involve you getting out of bed. And I want you to breathe into your heart and think of an intention, whether it be a memory, a happy memory that you've experienced, or something maybe that you want to experience that's going to make you feel these elevated emotions, meaning like joy, happiness, maybe adventure, emotions that you want to experience on a more regular basis. And just bring all of those emotions into your heart with every breath, and just lay there for as long as you need to, because this is going to change. And this is another thing I teach to a lot of my clients. It's called the triad. So you're changing your focus, you're changing your physiology, and you're changing your language. Because if you wake up in the morning and you're lying there and you're thinking of all the shitty things happening right now, then it's going to be a snowball effect of shitty feeling after shitty feeling after shitty feeling. And you're just going to spiral out of control. But you can control that, right? So put your headphones in, listen to the music, because that's automatically going to change your focus. Then you're going to change your intention, right? You're going to focus on your intention. You're changing the physiology of your body. Just even though you're not physically moving, you're starting to feel better. Start to smile, because you're going to be thinking of things that are going to make you happy. So it's going to be easier to smile. And they did this study, and I always tell this story. There was a study done, and it was a group of people who were all on antidepressants. And they got them all to stare at themselves in the mirror for 20 minutes a day, smiling. Okay. And I believe it was like 80% of them all came off their antidepressants after 1 month of doing this for 20 minutes a day. And it's because you're changing your physiology, right? I mean, it would be hard to stare at yourself in the mirror and smile and not laugh or think of something funny after, a period of time.
The fake laugh when you're doing
then
pictures,
you start to
and
laugh
you do the
for
fake
real.
laughing. Everybody starts laughing.
Exactly. So it might take some time, but it happens. So
what were those 3 elements again? You said changing your physiology,
focus, physiology, and your language. So as you think of your intention and you think of all these beautiful memories, happiness, joy, you start thinking of words you would use to describe those moments. And I'll tell you another quick story. There's this book, and it's a small book, and it's called The Hidden Messages in Water. And I might have told you this story before, Jazz. I'm like a huge advocate of speaking kind words to yourself on a regular basis, even if you're not feeling it. And they did this study where they took 2 bottles of water. Okay. And on one of them, they wrote love, happiness, kindness, you are special, you are beautiful, you are smart. And then on the other one, they wrote awful words. I hate you, you're ugly, you're stupid. And in the bottle of water that they wrote all of these beautiful, kind words on, the crystals of the water started to form into these amazing transformations. And in the water bottle that they put all of these awful words on, the water started to turn black.
Wow.
So imagine our bodies are made up of 70% water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if we're speaking poorly to ourselves on a regular basis, what are we doing to ourselves internally?
Yeah.
Right? So change your focus, change your physiology, change your language, and you don't have to get out of bed to do that. But when you do start to feel better, have some sort of a routine. Try not to let it being in bed every day consume you, right? So get up, brush your teeth, eat some food, you know, try to have some sort of routine. Ask yourself, what are you listeing to on a regular basis? What are you reading? You know, fill your day up with things that are going to make
news.
Yeah. So I'm a true believer, like we should all be informed, but don't let that be on your TV all day long. So yeah.
I want to mention, so afterwards, you've mentioned a few books, and you've advised me of recommended some other great books.
Yes.
So after this, if you can send us your reading list, and we'll send it out to everybody, including anything that you've mentioned today.
Absolutely.
So you're a big believer in the power of meditation. And, you know, this is something we're hearing a lot of before the pandemic and now.
Yes.
But it's not for everyone. And what are some tips for getting started? I mean, even if you're somebody who's like, no, that's too witchy for me. That's not my jam. Those type A's, like, what are some tips for those folks?
So I will say I kicked and screamed like for so many years going into meditation. Oh my God. Yes. 100%. Like it has been a process for me. And I've slowly progressed over the years. Like it wasn't until recently that I started doing longer meditations, because my mindset was this. I don't know, like I have better things to do. I have such a long to-do list. I don't know, this whole meditation thing. I never see results. And I was always looking for results. And honestly, it wasn't until I let that belief go, like stop going into this meditation looking for results. I was looking for some like altered state of consciousness and like this mystic experience, which not everybody is going to get something like that, right? And it wasn't until I started looking at the experiences I was having. So what I would do is I would just, again, you can set a timer throughout your day, set 3 or 4 timers throughout your day to just stop and take 10 deep inhales and exhales. This is a great way to start, okay? Another way you can do it is exactly what I was explaining to you before. If you're in bed in the morning, you're listening to music, that is a form of meditation. Listening to music, thinking of an intention, elevating your emotions. There isn't one way to do it that's better than the other. Everybody does it in different ways, but it's good to do it, again, like not listening to lyrics that aren't going to make you feel good, right? So try to listen to something without lyrics or really positive lyrics. And you're just being, you're literally doing nothing. And I think that that's the hardest part, is to just surrender and know that if you do have a million thoughts, it's okay, because over time you're going to get better, but it takes practice. It's like anything you do in your life. If you're looking to get really strong, change your body, be healthier, one workout's not going to do it for you. One nutritious meal isn't going to do it for you, right? You have to do it over a period of time. And my advice is to be consistent. Whether you're doing it for 5 minutes or 45 minutes, show up for yourself, because honestly, you're going to see little changes. So you might be less irritable. You might be sitting in traffic and notice, wow, I'm not road raging anymore. You know, you stop sweating the small stuff. And it's, again, like I'll go back to working out because that's my past. But the thing is, like, so many people would come to me and say, you know, the number on the scale is not changing. The number on the scale is not changing. And that doesn't matter. It matters how you're feeling, how your clothes are fitting. Are your bones getting stronger? Is your digestion better? So things that you might not see on the surface, right away. That's the same thing that's happening with meditation. You might not be getting these physical transformations immediately, but there are little changes. So it's about being more aware and conscious throughout your day and say, you know what? Wow, maybe I am a little bit less irritable. And then your relationships start to get better because you're not freaking out over, spilt milk, as they say, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's changed for me in my meditation. So I let go of this idea that like I needed results and I needed them right now. And I let go of the fact that like, you know what, I am going to have some thoughts in my mind, but it's okay because over time there will be less thoughts and I can just focus more on my breath and focus on the music. And if you can also do walking meditations, again, think of an intention, marry that with elevated emotions and go for a walk and try to keep coming back to your intention. Because if you have something to focus on, it's harder for all these other thoughts to get in if you're really focusing on that intention. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. It almost sounds like it can be considered a proactive measure. Like even if you're not somebody who wants to deepen your spirituality or connect with the universe at a heightened level, you're connecting with self. So you're deepening that connection with your body, with your own health. That is, there's science now that has proven the mind-body connection. People are self-diagnosing or being alerted to illnesses they wouldn't have otherwise. They're healing their physical bodies. And I also love what you said about, just how it's diffusing that tension or that sensitivity that you have, because it becomes a toolkit, right? Like we all have, before, now, and in the future, we all have those times of stress, and anxiousness where we need to be able to do something to bring ourselves back to grounding.
Absolutely. And, one thing that really got me to finally start doing longer meditations, and that's just because I wanted to. I'm not saying that you need to do a 45-minute meditation, but I started studying meditation. I'm all about Western and Eastern worlds coming together, right? But as much as I'm into the spiritual stuff and the witchy stuff, I like the science. I like to, because a lot of people need proof, right?
Right.
So there's so many studies done on the benefits of meditation, and how you can change your DNA on a molecular level, right? So I would highly recommend reading more about meditation, because as soon as you start to say, wow, people are getting more creative, people are healing themselves, all of these stories scientifically proven, you're like, okay, well, maybe I should be doing this,
There's something to this.
Exactly. There has to be some sort of truth to it. So doing that has changed my life, studying meditation, learning more about it. And what's also really helped me is guided meditation. So I've downloaded Joe Dispenza. He has some amazing guided meditations.
Love Joe.
And he's so, and again, he's very spiritual, but he's a scientist. Right? So he brings those worlds together, and he makes it, he describes these things in layman's terms. So you're not listening thinking like quantum fields, energetic, what, it's not so confusing. You're like, okay, wow. And then it's fascinating and you're intrigued and you're like, okay, well, maybe I will sit through this 45-minute meditation if I'm going to get all these good things, juicy things happening to myself now, my future self. So I would definitely recommend it. And guided meditation, because for me, sitting in complete silence, I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And I think that maybe that's something to work towards. But at the beginning, guided meditation is great. There's lots of apps like Headspace app. There's the Calm app. A lot of my clients will start with 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. And then over time, you slowly increase that time if it feels good for you, right?
Yeah.
So don't set these crazy high standards and have all these high expectations. Just go into it, try to without any expectations, right? And then grow from there.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned feeling that there's great potential or possibility in this time of reset. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So honestly, we've been given the gift of time right now. You know, for those of us who have lost jobs, for those of us who have been told to, you know, we have to put our lives on hold. Some people are still working around the clock, but for those of us who have been given this gift of time, to use it wisely. And it's like I was saying before, like if we are to look back on our lives, you know, 40 years from now, would we be saying, wow, I was so successful, or wow, I made so much money? Or would we be thinking, you know what, I had the most amazing experiences. I had the most amazing connections and love with people. We're not thinking, man, I made so much money. You know, most people aren't. I mean, maybe some people are, but I'm not. Yeah. And it's great. Of course, money is an amazing thing. You know, it helps, it allows us to travel and, you know, to buy the things that we do need. But when it comes down to it, we're thinking back on the experiences, the connections, the family and friends. And my coach said to me, he was telling me this story the other day about Nelson Mandela. And he said, when he left prison, he was in prison for 27 years. Mm-hmm. And he said, somebody asked him, how did you survive? And he said, I wasn't surviving, I was preparing. And I think that we can relate this to the situation that we're in right now. You know, don't look at it as a time where you have to survive. Look at it as a time to prepare for what's to come, prepare for what you want. And I think that it's so beautiful, because I will say this, you know, everyone in this chat has accomplished things in their life that they're proud of. And you will accomplish things again. Everyone in this chat has gone through times of uncertainty. You know, we've gone through times in our life where we thought it was going to be impossible to get out. And a lot of us are probably feeling that way now, but you did it before and you can do it again.
Yes.
And we're all in this together. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just shifting our perspective, you know, and enjoying this time that we have, because we don't have control of what's going to happen. Yeah. So, and it's okay to fall apart, you know, and to tap into those emotions of sadness and anger and frustration, but know you have so many tools to help you to get out of that situation that you find yourself in. Right. And yeah, it's up to us to do that. And we can also turn to friends. We can also turn to family. So yeah, I think that that's a very powerful message though. And it's funny, I will say this, I meant to mention it to you earlier. Nelson Mandela, we were talking about how we didn't really have time to prepare for all of this time to do nothing. Mm-hmm. And Nelson Mandela, when the president came to him the night before he was released, and he said, you know, you're going to be released tomorrow. And he was like, what? No, sorry, I'm going to need a week to prepare. He was in jail for 27 years and he's like, can you give me a week? This is a true story. And the president went and talked to his people, and he came back and he was like, nope, you're leaving tomorrow. It's kind of like they described it as a guest who had overstayed his welcome. And he's like, no, sorry, you don't have another week here. And I just found that so funny. Like, wow, you were in prison for 27 years, told you could leave tomorrow, and he wanted an extra week to prepare.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, yeah,
I feel him. Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. And then look what he went on to do and accomplish, right?
That's so good. I want to, I mean, you and I could chat all freaking day. But I know there's people who have questions for you.
Absolutely.
I want to I'm going to scroll through the chat and bring some people up. Okay. Wow. People are very excited. There's lots of chat to scroll through here.
Yeah.
Okay. Mandy was asking about the 6 human needs.
Yes.
Could you repeat those?
Okay, so I'll tell you the noteworthy stuff. So the 6 human needs are the driving force behind what guides us to make the decisions we make. Okay. Yeah. So you have certainty. Certainty is about feeling secure and comfort. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Like going to your job, you feel that need, you're fulfilling that need for certainty by showing up at your job every day. Okay. The need for uncertainty is the need for surprise. It's the need for thrill. So you could go to a different fitness class every day and you could fulfill that need for uncertainty. Or you could do thrill-seeking adventures and you're fulfilling that need. You have a need for love and connection, which is just that. So you crave love and connection. You either want to give or receive or both. The need for significance. So that's the need to feel, of course, significant, the need to feel important, the need to feel unique. And a lot of us receive that by going to our job and making a certain amount of money, every month or every year. And I will say each of these needs, Jasmine, you and I could have the same need for certainty, but your need for certainty could be completely different than my need for certainty, right? So you might feel the need for fulfill the need for certainty through showing up and working every day, whereas I might fulfill that need by just being a stay-at-home mom. So everybody fulfills it in different ways. Okay. And we can fulfill them in healthy or unhealthy ways. Okay. So it depends on what vehicle you're choosing to fulfill those needs. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So then you have the last two, which is the need for growth. So always wanting to learn, always wanting to fill yourself with more knowledge. And then the last one is the need for contribution. So the need to be giving back in some sort of way. It's serving. So just like you created the Breakfast Club and you said, you know what, we're going to contribute to a different charity of the speaker's choice each week, which is so amazing. So I hope that answers your question. And if it doesn't, feel free to ask more and I can go into more detail.
Okay. No, that's great. Sarah, I want to ask Sarah to, Jamie, if we can unmute Sarah, she has a question about time blocking.
Okay.
Sarah, are you there?
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, good morning. Thanks, Brit. That's been really awesome. I was just attracted to, like, at the beginning of your talk, you're chatting about being someone that has a lot of pursuits and you're kind of always researching, and I feel the same. And I have been experimenting with different types of time blocking. Some of the science says, hey, like, only spend, less than an hour, like 45, 50 minutes on something before you take a break. And being as I feel like I operate at different speeds and also have a lot of different, creative versus logistic things in my day, wondering if you had any thoughts on time blocking that you would, maybe talk to your clients about.
Yeah, I think that it's great to do to use time blocking as a tool, because I think that if you spend too much time doing one thing, you might start to feel overwhelmed. You might start to think of other things that you need to be working on. So I would say, I wouldn't give you an exact number. I think 45 minutes is good. And then go for a walk or have a coffee or have a chat with someone and come back to it. And I was telling this to Jasmine the other day. I think that it's good to, wake up in the morning and have an idea, especially if you're still working right now, of what you want to achieve throughout your day. So just say, I want to make sure I spend, a couple of hours with my daughter. I want to make sure I spend a couple of hours working on content. I want to make sure I spend a couple of hours working with clients. And you want to set your day up for success. So ask yourself as well, like, okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely am I to achieve all that I have on my to-do list today? And if you're not at an 8 or higher, then rejig your list of things to do. Because if you're lower than an 8 on that scale and you're not able to achieve all of those things on your to-do list, you might be really hard on yourself and you might get discouraged. So,
and you're probably not performing at the highest level. Like if that's identifying, what's working for you and checking in. Because if you're less than an 8, then it's like, what's the point?
Absolutely.
Then you rejig it so you can perform better.
So work for 45 minutes on something, then give yourself, say, a fifth. You don't want your break to be too long because then you might get distracted, right? So give yourself, I'd say 15 minutes to half hour. I'm not an expert on time blocking, but this is what I would do. And this is how my experiences have proven to be productive over, the years of trying to juggle a million things, right? When I set myself up to do a million things in my day and then I wasn't achieving it, I was feeling so discouraged. But then when I actually planned out my day and I said, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 hours to do this, I would be much more productive in that time. And then I take a break, I have some lunch, I have a coffee, I come back and I get more stuff done. And that has proven to work phenomenally for me over the years.
It's great. I want to add to I want to add to the time blocking. So something I was taught, I had a big challenge when I went from working in an office to working for myself, because I was suddenly like, my house had never been so clean. I was like, I was always finding these other things to do. It was hard
Oh my God. Absolutely.
stay on task. But I was, for me, what works is actually 90-minute blocks.
Okay.
Where, my most productive days are the days when I can get up early and I have that time, 45 minutes to an hour where I'm focusing on my intention, my gratitude, my journaling. I have that because that centers me. That really gets me grounded. So I'm not as reactive in the day. And then what I'll do is I'll just print out my calendar for the day. So I just print a one-day view of my calendar that has all my meetings and my calls and things in it. And I try to block out 90-minute chunks to tackle different tasks around it. But what you were saying about taking breaks is really important. I forget to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I didn't get dressed today. I didn't eat.
Yeah, it's true. I've done that too. And it's so important because your brain's going to function on a much more optimal level when you have food and water in your system.
Yes.
So, and another thing I will mention, what I resonate with a lot, what you said, and it's like, I'm finding things to do around my house. I'm cleaning my house. I'm organizing my entire child's room, all of her clothes from 0 to 18 months. And then I'm like, wow, I'm feeling really productive, but I haven't actually done any of the work that I wanted to get done. So what I will say is set a day during the week aside to clean your house from top to bottom and do all the organizing that you have to get done. So it's not getting in the way of your work during the week. This is what I do. I'll spend one day and just like make sure my house is looking spotless, even though it doesn't stay that way for too long with a 17-month-old.
Sure.
But I think that's a great thing to do as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for that, Sarah. I want to ask Marianne to come to ask her question. Marianne, are you there? Oh, there she is. Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for your talk, guys.
Thank you.
I was just wondering if Brit could share a little bit on her own biggest personal and professional growth, and if you realized in the moment that you were experiencing this, or if you realized later on during reflection.
Yeah, so professionally, recently, I would say, so when I was transitioning from fitness and health into life coaching, I'd say the biggest professional thing that came up for me was being able to call myself a life coach. That limiting belief, that imposter syndrome that we hear so much about lately. I was thinking, well, I'll start working with my life coach and I can just add what he's teaching me into being a personal trainer. I didn't know if I could actually call myself a life coach and if anybody would listen to me. I was nervous because I thought, I haven't experienced some of the things other people have experienced. But no matter what profession you're in, you haven't experienced absolutely everything that the people you're helping have experienced, right? All you can do, and this can relate to a lot of professions, I believe, is show up with intention. And I wanted to help, right? And my coach said to me, it's 98% intention and 2% fundamentals. And I had all the intention in me already. I wanted to help, and I knew that if I just showed up with that intention, that the 2% fundamentals I could learn and I could, give back. So I think that was my biggest professional hurdle so far in transitioning. But that has changed since working with my own life coach, and when I am, those limiting beliefs and that imposter syndrome still sneaks in from time to time, but I'll call him, sometimes we just need that pep talk.
Sure.
From mentors and loved ones to say, you know what, you've got this. And you just need that reminder. And in regards to personal hurdle, oh man, I feel like we have personal hurdles all the time, depending on what you're going through in your life. I mean, if I can relate it to professional, it would be when I had Kaya, my daughter, and trying to manage my time. So I wanted to, And this is, I had to rejig my expectations and my standards in this regards. Like I had Kaya and I wanted to be a full-time mom, and I wanted to have a certain amount of clients every month and make a certain amount of money every month. And I wanted to give back, and bring in a second income to my family. And I was setting myself up for failure in that moment. And I think that we all need to look at the goals, expectations, and standards that we have and say, okay, what's realistic right now? And I mean, don't forget about the big dreams you have. Don't forget about, these massive goals that you have. We can definitely achieve them, but it's just, okay, in this time right now, am I setting myself up for success or am I setting myself up for failure? And in that moment, I was like, I wanted to be a full-time mom and I needed to figure out what was more important to me. Was it being a full-time mom and just doing a little bit of work? Because I couldn't juggle being a full-time mom and working, 40 hours a week. So I think that was my biggest personal hurdle that kind of coincided with my profession. And it wasn't until I really focused in on exactly what it was that I wanted that things started to change. And I was like, okay, I could take a breath, I could be a mom and I could work, but I just needed to rejig how I was going to deliver that. So I hope that answers your question.
That's great. I also think that that's really important, what you shared in terms of the personal, because so many people are having to struggle having to juggle their professional and being a mom right now for the first time. So people are now, some people are still working and now they're having to adjust to working from home.
Yes.
And they're having to teach and look after their kids.
So they have a new career as well.
It's mind-blowing. I mean, hats off to everyone who is doing that juggle right now. I don't know how they do it.
I know. So I think that's where time blocking would really come in handy as well.
Yeah. And I mean, and also what you said earlier, just about managing those expectations and not setting them too high of yourself. Like we all just have to be, we can't do it all.
No.
And we shouldn't, we're not meant to.
No.
So, just setting those reasonable expectations for yourself, being kind to yourself in terms of what you can deliver on. I think that's all really important. I wanted to ask Catherine, Catherine had a question about, she had some good commentary about laundry. She's always got good commentary. And, and she had a question about, she said she'd never done a walking meditation. Catherine, can you ask your question?
Hello. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. And thank you for the beautiful music as well. That was a lovely start to the day.
It was.
I wanted to ask about what walking meditations you would recommend. I do meditate myself and I do pray. But I've never done it at walking at the same time. And we're all multitaskers. Yes. So if we can walk and meditate and maybe not run into a car or something like that would be great.
Yeah, I think it's really great walking meditation. So I've actually only done one that I enjoy, and that is, again, I'll go back to Joe Dispenza. So you could do his guided one, or you could do it on your own. I mean, you are a meditator, you said. So what you do is you start by closing your eyes. So I wouldn't start in the middle of the street. Yeah. Maybe before you leave your house. You close your eyes and again, you focus on that intention that you want to meditate on. So whether it's an intention for your day, whether it's an intention for next week, next month, the year, and you marry that with your elevated emotions of how you want to feel. So if your intention is, I want to be really productive this week in regards to my job, how will I feel when I get all the things done that I want to get done? And if I'll feel excitement, I'll feel joy, I'll feel proud. You're thinking of those elevated emotions, right? And then once you've done that, really start to focus on breathing into your heart. So taking long, deep inhales and exhales. And once you're there and a million other thoughts aren't coming into your mind, you're really focused in on that intention and those elevated emotions, then you open your eyes and you go for a walk and you try to focus on that intention and those elevated emotions. So It's good to do. I would say it's nice to do if you're in a quieter space, walking in nature somewhere. And then as you get better at it, you can do it, walking through the streets where you're not going to be so bombarded with, you know, the cars, the signs, the other people, and hopefully you're not going to run into people that you know, right? So it's a great type of meditation to do. Does that answer your question?
It does indeed. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And also,
Catherine.
if I can just add a bit of advice, I have 3 older kids. With younger kids and time blocking.
Yeah.
One thing that really serves well, and it fits into children's need for boundaries, and of course our needs for boundaries and security, is that if you give your child a wee bit of time first, sort of the 10, 20 minutes, half an hour, do a bit of work or coloring or whatever, read them a story, and then you say, okay, mommy now is going to go do her work, it works really, really well. You feel good, the kid feels good, they have a sense of independence, and you're like, yay, I can go off. So it's an initiative. Whereas if you try to do everything, and I've done this, I've tried to like multitask with the kids and cooking and, you know, on the computer, and it's disastrous. And of course you end up frying your brain. So there you go.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome advice.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thanks.
So sadly, we are out of time. It goes by so fast. I say that every week, but it really does.
Oh my gosh.
But I wanted to share something with all of you today. First, I want to just thank you all for being here with me, coming together every week. Doing this with you, for you, has given me such hope, such purpose, and a greater sense of community. But since the world changed, I haven't stopped. I haven't given myself the time. I think everyone needs to process, even to apply all the great learnings that we've gained from all of these amazing speakers. In week 1, Lauren reminded us the importance of kindness for ourselves and for others. In week 2, Carlin encouraged us to create space to acknowledge and accept the grief. Then Angela taught us the power of, I'm trying not to get emotional, Angela taught us the power of creating healthy boundaries, and how we need to show up for ourselves first. And then last week, Jane showed us the incredible power of gratitude and the healing and light that lives through art. Today, my dear friend Brit shared the power of meditation, nourishment, movement, and the almighty Mother Nature. Word up to our mother. So every week, these incredible people have been giving us these incredible tools, and I'll look at the screen every week and I'm like, yes, you need to do this. And I wasn't telling myself. So to be honest, I've been burning the candle at both ends, and I've been working around the clock. And it has been so valuable, and I'm so grateful for all of this. But it is through, with absolute love and dedication and appreciation, that I share that I'm going to press pause on the Breakfast Club, just to give myself the time to focus and to think about what this all means for me and for my family and for my loved ones. And I want to tell you, and I want to assure you, and hope that you will join me in this, that I will come back with this. And when I do, I'll be stronger and revitalized, and I'll have lots more ideas and things I want to share with you. I will continue to show up for you as you have for me. And I want to keep serving this incredible community. So thank you for your love and support. And Brit, thank you for, it's amazing. I didn't even know that you were going to talk about Nelson Mandela and what he said, but you really have prepared me for this pause today. And I can't thank you enough. Thank you, Brit. Thank you, everyone. And I will see you very soon.
Yes, we love you.